Welcome to the round table. We have our first episode of Round Table Talk, discussing the first three episodes of The Traitors. My name is Kevin Oliver.
My name's Brett Parnell.
My name is also Kevin Oliver.
That's still a lie.
My name is Bruce Heller.
And here we are, the first three episodes of a long-awaited return to the TV screen.
Yeah, long awaited first three episodes. So it's I'm sure there's a decent amount that was just passive and introductions that we don't have to worry about, but we've got a lot to talk about today. And this sure seems like it's going to be a good season. What was your first reactions to this cast, Kevin?
Yeah, so
And I don't know where Bush just went, but I'll ask him when he comes back.
yep, there he is. There he is. Okay, so
Bruce, you look like Wes Bergmann under the
Just without the beard.
yeah.
Early season to Wes.
Yeah.
There you go. Not quite Fergus's cousin yet.
Amazing wine, by the way.
Yes, it was. But I thought that the season started well. I love this cast. I get excited every time there's a new season of Traitors. I think this one could be the best one yet.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely think it has that potential. It certainly has all the big name players that we've seen from the start, both
Yeah.
the people that were in the Land Rovers coming up the Scottish Highlands and also a few players that were hidden behind the cloaks are just massive names in their own shows.
Absolutely.
I have
So
couple funny notes from the Land Rovers.
go ahead.
First off, Sam saying he was married to Britney for a while, and he did say was, and everyone's like, "Oh, I love Britney Spears. She's great." That has to have been so awkward for him.
That was hilarious.
Who does that? Who's like, "Oh, I'm a huge fan of your ex-wife." He doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And from what I know, he can't really talk about Brittany on the show.
Mm.
I doubt that he would want to, though. Like, they probably got a divorce for a reason.
But they, from what I know, they did. They got divorced, but since then they've both come out with like very positive statements about each other.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
it was really just a whole mess. Evidently, he's not as bad a guy. There was rumors of things that he's done, but like, Brittany went through that whole conservatorship thing where her
Wait, the
family was
internet exaggerates things sometimes?
what?
I did not know that. The internet exaggerates things sometimes?
Yeah, crazy. But
Whoa.
with that whole conservatorship where her family tried to like rule her life, he stood by her through all that, and they were trying to have a child, but evidently her family wouldn't approve removing the birth control device from her body for that to
Oh.
happen. Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
My,
So
my, my other note from the Land Rovers was like two or three times people would say, "Oh, I really don't want to see this person," and then like optical flip, that person did one of the other cars.
They had to have seen each other at the airport or something.
That just made me laugh, though.
It was funny though,
it
yes.
was. It was a good
But
moment.
I'm like, there's no chance that they don't know that, say, Tony is in the other car.
Right.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
also love like when we get out of the cars, the Tony Jeremy reunion made my Survivor heart happy.
Yeah.
And I really just wanted to see a scene of the two of them trying to figure out how many days they were there as like a sequel to them trying to figure out how many
On Winners
days are
at
in a
War.
week. Or figure out how many days are in a week, because I don't think we ever got a consensus on that one.
We did not get a consensus on that one. So maybe seeing that this game is only a couple of weeks, they'll figure it out.
Is it
Well,
only a couple of
based on how episode 3 went, I don't think they're gonna figure it out.
No.
Thanks, other Bob.
Hey, we'll talk about that when we get there.
I'm not as mad at him as I was when we watched the episode, but
Bruce and I were debating Bob Harper, so we'll talk about him later.
Yeah. No, Tony sunk his own game for sure, but
Yeah.
Bob was who started that train.
And I mean, if we go by English nicknames, Third Bob had a role into it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of Rob, do we want to talk about the first scene where we see him right at the beginning?
Yeah. This I thought was great. Who would have known that another contestant is hidden underneath these Guy Fawkes masks
Yeah.
in the middle, like right outside of the castle as they're entering the game?
Well, and here's the thing, and this story is one of those like, here's why I'm dumb stories. It's because what they do is they have Rob reveal himself, and it's the first twist of the game. Alan tells everyone he can enter the game. One of you has to come shake my hand and pick someone else to leave. And then no one does it, and Rob walks away. And like for half the episode, I was preparing to go scorched earth on NBC on this podcast because I didn't realize he was coming back. And I was gonna basically come on here and say you lied to me. You told me he was a part of the cast and he was on the screen for like 2 minutes. But I'm stupid. I should have known there would be more than that scene.
I had two thoughts at this point. The first thought that I had was that NBC messed up. They should have left Rob's mask on and said, "You can come shake my hand and this player will join the game," without telling anybody who it was.
Yeah. I don't know if that would have made a difference. I still don't think anyone would have done it.
I think they might have.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because from what we saw, the one person who was genuinely wanting to do it was Carolyn.
But they all knew it was Rob.
Right.
Who is a massive gamer and probably the most known reality competition show contestant of all time.
But my point is, the fact that it was Rob barely even bothered Carolyn. Her whole thing was she didn't want to be the one. Yeah. And I kind of feel like that's where everybody else's head would have been too.
I was expecting one of the two Big Brother ladies to do it and send another one home, honestly.
Well, I didn't think Brittany was ever going to do it.
They kind of made it seem like both of them were considering it, and then they showed like a year of Carolyn considering it.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened. And I'm dumb because I should have known that there would be more of him. But for like half the episode, I thought this was all we were going to get of Rob.
That was the second.
I was about to go scorched earth on NBC for false advertising.
That was the second point that I wanted to make. I was angry about that for about 15 seconds, as opposed to half the episode. And then when they hit the break, I paused it when it kind of faded out, faded back in. And I went to the restroom, grabbed a drink, and I'm like, there is no way that they paid Rob thousands of dollars to come and do that.
Yeah.
The way they promoted him as part of the cast, too. I should have put it together sooner. Again, this is an I'm dumb story, but...
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting in that by virtue of what Alan does later, the cast decision not to allow Rob into the game guaranteed that Rob became a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily know if Rob would have been a traitor if he comes in on day one.
I think that if Rob Mariano, I said this in the cast preview, and I still believe this. If Rob Mariano comes on the Traitors and wants to be a traitor, Rob Mariano is going to be a traitor.
Yeah.
If they would have made the switch, Rob Mariano's getting his shoulder tapped.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that whoever would have been cut would have probably also been a traitor.
I agree with that.
If they sent Brittany or Tony out of the game that day, they would come back as a traitor almost like the next day.
I think so too. Yeah.
Speaking of Brittany and Danielle, they talked about how like they have history, and like Brittany they both say Brittany backstabbed Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
You watched Reindeer Games. Can you kind of give a brief? It doesn't have to be brief, but like explain what happened there.
Yeah. So, Reindeer Games was a fairly small cast or whatever, and a lot So
Josh was on it, wasn't he?
yes, he was. Josh was on that cast. um, the thing about a lot of Big Brother high profile names is they're not all good at challenges. Especially a lot of the people on that season. Brittany is not a challenge beast. Danielle's not a challenge person. Nicole Franzel, who won Reindeer Games, not a challenge person.
I know that name from somewhere.
Amazing Race.
Well,
Already won.
Yeah.
Her and
was she on the
Victor, I think,
challenge too?
Not that I know of, but
Victor did the challenge.
And it's Victor's wife.
Okay, that
Did
makes
Victor
sense.
do the challenge? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Okay. USA?
No, Vendettas.
Oh, I
Season
completely
31.
forgot about that. And I've watched that season. Wow.
But so the challenge that Danielle went home in was this big like hamster wheel that was a puzzle, and they had to like run and push up against either side to make the ball that was in the puzzle go certain directions, like a maze puzzle. And it started with like the first person had like 4.5 minutes, and then if they finished it in 4.5 minutes, they chose another person to do it. And every time somebody finished the puzzle, the next person's time to finish would decrease by 30 seconds. And Danielle, so they put Brittany in, thinking Brittany was going to go home, and Brittany beasted it out by like 15 seconds or something. And then there was like two or three different people who offered to go next because they wanted to save Danielle, but Brittany purposely chose Danielle, knowing she was not going to be able to finish in time. She didn't. She went home.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, solid move.
Yeah.
It was. It was. It was just one of those things where, if you blindside me to get me out of the game, I'm not gonna be happy with you.
Yeah.
The next, and that's what it was.
Yeah, and you and I hosted another show together too, so that would be kind of awkward when we do Pit Stop Pals every week.
Yeah, it would. You know what, Bruce? Your hood looks like hair. It looks like you have black hair right now. So I screenshotted that, and that's better. But I screenshotted it beforehand, and I'm going to get full use of that. Sounds like
okay. I kind of was giving off Lord Farquaad vibes there for a little.
You were.
Oh, Shrek! The Shrek movies are so clever.
Okay, but when we were talking about Rob coming into the game like that, I actually knew that was going to happen at the beginning, shake your hand thing, because they released like a 7-minute trailer ahead of time, and that whole sequence was part of it.
Okay.
Interesting.
I saw
I never watched the Traitors. I watched the Traitors. I never watched the trailer.
Yeah.
Brett says, "Surprise, guys! You're teaching me what's happening right now."
Yeah.
As we start the Traitors podcast, I've never watched the Traitors.
But we do kind of see a moment of...
That was the blooper of Reality Realm.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Okay. Quick story, because it hasn't released yet, but, well, this might release before that episode, because Pit Stop Pals dropped on Tuesday. I almost got Pit Stop Pals canceled last time.
He did. He really did.
Oh, God.
But I thought about what I said before I said it. I was talking about someone who, like, hit their face. This old woman hit her face in a cave on our rewatch, Gretchen.
Gretchen on season 7.
And what I said was, it's like you've heard of getting a black eye. It was like a black eye, but her whole face.
Oh, God.
And I had to think about it before I said that sentence, because I almost said something else that is not a good thing.
Yeah, no. we would have been canceled.
Oh, well, good you didn't. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
But no, I did not watch any trailer. I just went in right into the whole 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And we did kind of get this moment of reconciliation question mark where Brittany apologizes to Danielle and they seem like they might be on good terms now.
Yeah, but what
Yeah.
else are you supposed to do when you're about
That's
to spend
it.
2 weeks in a game for $250,000? What else are you gonna do?
I don't know. I've been
Shake Alan's hand and get rid of the other one?
yeah.
That would have backfired immensely when the other one comes back in the game as a traitor.
Would it ever?
That's your ticket to the House of Villains just by doing that right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Carolyn introducing herself to Tony and Jeremy, and that like thinking they didn't know who she was, and they did. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was funny.
Love Carolyn. Love Carolyn.
Yeah, she's been great this season.
She's even more chaotic on here than she was on Survivor, and I didn't think that was possible.
Hey, Bruce, you know how you were about to go all scorched earth on NBC?
Yes.
Rob Sesternino was about to as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I was listening to Puyal Zambakili and Rob Sesternino talk about Traitors episodes 1 through 3, and Rob was also really mad.
For the same reason I was?
Yeah.
I'm not the only one that didn't realize he was coming back. Woohoo. Also, my cloak, the sleeves are like ridiculously baggy. So that's
but evidently, I didn't catch this. The way Alan said it was, he told them to go exile Rob. They didn't. So Puyal Zambakili, Traitors expert over at RHAP, picked up pretty quickly that was not you're going home.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, great Survivor reference when it's Rob being involved.
Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you're going home. It just means you get to become a Survivor 44 idol and go hang in a birdcage for a little while.
Yeah. Alrighty, what's next after they enter the castle?
Let me think. Yeah, so they all sit around the round table. Mr. Allen is picking his traitors. I'm combining shows, guys. It's okay. Danielle, this is what I wrote. I don't know.
First of all, before we get into picking traitors, anyone have any thoughts from the one-on-one interviews between the cast and Alan?
Yeah, I thought it was really ironic that Scandival is the only one who didn't want to be a traitor.
Yeah.
What's funny about that is like Tony telling Carolyn and Jeremy that he wanted to be a faithful.
Yeah.
And I saw that clip online earlier in the day, and my thought when I saw it then and when I watched it was, Tony, why is this the lie you're going with? Nobody ever actually wants to be a faithful. And then this is the guy that Leah said nobody likes and wants to be banished or whatever. But somebody actually wants to be a faithful. I feel like he wants to do that just to prove me wrong.
No, it's not to prove you wrong. It's the fact that he is known in real life as a traitor.
Yeah.
A real life traitor.
The Bravo audience will assume that Tom is a traitor, and therefore the players will assume that Tom is a traitor.
Except that's not how it plays out.
That's it. Exactly. So I think it's a smart move on his part.
Yeah. It is. I agree.
I don't think he is longing for the game by any means, but
no, because he's already sticking his neck out and saying names, and that's a bad idea. So.
Yeah, and being very wrong with it.
Yeah.
Which I might backtrack on that, because really wrong faithfuls are notorious for going really far in this game.
All I can think of is season 1. One of the people we haven't heard of. I think his name was Michael or something.
Brandy, the sketchy guy who went out early?
The guy that got banished early, but Brandy and Kate were so convinced he was a traitor and were harping on him the entire 3 episodes he was there.
Yeah, but also...
And they were wrong, and Kate went deep in the game and came back again. So you can be very wrong. Like you said, very wrong traitors can still go very deep, because Kate did it.
Yeah.
And if Kate can do it, anything is possible.
Hey, I don't think you're giving Kate enough credit, man. She was great TV.
Oh,
Oh,
she
she
is.
was great TV. I just said if she can do it, anything is possible. That's motivational. She's motivation for millions.
If you say so.
My sister that was here last week is a massive Kate fan.
Yeah, yeah, she said that's who she wanted to see show up in the castle.
I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
But also another thing was Carolyn over here going, I'm not gonna beg you to make me a traitor. And then
No.
Tony literally begging to be a traitor.
Tony was very. I will say he was very Tony throughout all three of these episodes, but it's also more calm than I knew he was capable of being. There was at least a couple scenes where he actually blended into a crowd, and I don't think I saw him blend in to the like with the crowd around him once on Survivor. He's just always chaos and llama noises and spy shacks.
Yeah.
There's depths to the man.
I love it. I just didn't know he could be that calm. I hadn't seen it on TV before.
That's because you take him out of the jungle. See what happens.
And I didn't get my spy suit of armor, which is disappointing.
No.
You did.
Okay, so now we get to the point where, like you were saying, we're in the round table and Alan's going to choose the traitors. What was everyone's thoughts here?
Well,
I was still kind of mad about the Rob thing at this point, but I was hoping one of the Survivor players would get chosen.
And the most dramatic and out of control Survivor player there really is ended up being the one chosen over two other winners.
Also,
which is fun.
There's a cast that has Tony Vlachos on it, and someone else is the most chaotic Survivor player there. I just want to point that out.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. I just want to point out that we all made predictions about who the traitors were going to be.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I went 2 for 3 on
You
the
did.
original traitor.
We got Danielle, Drag Queen Bob, and Carolyn.
It's Bob the Drag Queen. Get it right.
I was reading from my notes, and I was calling them on my notes Drag Queen Bob and Other Bob.
Other Bob. But yeah, I was genuinely hoping there would be no Survivor traitor this year. Bruce, I know that you are very much for that. I am very much afraid of the meta of the game being corrupted for future seasons.
Yeah.
In the sense of
I guess it's hard to say how it could go forward better, because if there is a Survivor player that's a traitor, based on the previous game, they are going to be more targeted. But if there's only Survivor players that are faithfuls, they're just going to get banished because people will assume one is a traitor.
Exactly.
And
I
I honestly think as we get more into this show, and maybe it's been on for 6 or 7 seasons, we're going to have, unfortunately, Survivor players get the same rap as Survivor players do on the challenges.
Well,
and that's just kind of the game Survivor is. It requires strategy and cutthroatness and lying in a way that most games don't. So
that's it.
They get that reputation, but it's fair, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
My thing is more of, if we put a Survivor player on as a traitor every time, then they're just going to start voting out all the survivors, assuming that one's going to be a traitor. And Brett's going to come on here really pissed next season if Michelle Fitzgerald gets cast on the traitors and is the first or second banished because she's a Survivor player.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, hey, I had to watch that exact thing happen on Spies, Lies, and Allies. I don't need it again.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what's going to happen if they keep doing it like this. Each of the 3 seasons so far have had a Big Brother and a Survivor traitor picked as 2 of the 3.
To be fair, last season, that wasn't like Alan and production choosing them. The players did that.
Correct. But it was still a Big Brother player every season, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the annoying thing. I have spent forever, since I really started diving into reality TV fandom, hearing how great Dan was and that he's the strategic mastermind and the goat of Big Brother, and I was so excited to see him. And all he did was remind me that just because you're amazing at other shows doesn't mean you'll be good at this one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was not expecting what we got from him based on what I had heard from a lot of the Big Brother fandom.
Mm-hmm. Go watch his Big Brother season. You might understand what they're talking about.
I kind of saw it. He showed some good glimpses on Traitors. He just got outplayed by a bachelor. So
To be fair, most people that season got outplayed by a bachelor.
yeah, that was weird. I don't. I hold on. I saw someone. I forget where I saw this online. Someone said that Dylan on this season is the Peter of this season, and yeah, I see
Yeah.
it so far.
I would agree with that.
All right. So from there, anyone have any thoughts, I guess, now that we have the traitors picked before we get to the first murder of the season?
Yeah, we were talking about the cast, and you bring up the Bachelor franchise, and one of the women on this show, her name is
Gabby
Gabby.
Wendy.
Yeah.
I love this quote from her. This made me laugh. I feel excited. I love smoked salmon. I love pickles on the side. I love goat cheese, and I love talking shit. Like that just took such a turn at the end. It made me chuckle. So like I think she's gonna be funny.
I think that was the next morning at breakfast, wasn't it?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I saw that
Yeah, it
quote.
was. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't take a note of it, but I remembered it, and I saw like a picture of that quote online, so I screenshot it so I would remember to bring it up.
Right.
And now it's going to be in my camera roll for a month before I remember to delete it.
all right. So we get, I guess, before the murder, we get to the first competition,
Mm-hmm.
and we see the players have to all get into one boat and row, and at different checkpoints as they're collecting money and collecting fuel tanks, which don't actually mean anything, but two players have to get off and thus sacrifice their chance of getting a shield in order to keep collecting more money.
Well, the fuel tanks do mean something because don't they use the fuel to light the big thing at the end?
Maybe.
I think you're
Yeah,
right.
you're right.
Because
I
at the
probably
end
didn't catch
they
on
get
that.
on this platform that's in the middle of this giant circle and they light the circle on fire.
Hey, I obviously
Yeah.
didn't catch on that. I didn't even watch the show.
Yeah.
But
That's what we're here for, remember?
but no, what did everyone think about all the controversy in which players got off and at what points?
I thought it was interesting. I also have a couple notes from the Viking boat itself.
Sure.
I have Brittany saying, because like it's a Viking boat and they're all oaring, but like it took them a while to get in sync. And I think it was Brittany said this: the oars on the Viking boat are such a mess; they look like an octopus that just got stabbed. And I forget who said this, but in quotes I have written down, I've been to Pilates class. It's about technique. So we have an octopus that got stabbed, and we're comparing the Viking boat to Pilates class. So great start for the Viking boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first we have Robin and Ian get off the boat, very reluctantly.
Well, I think that was an odd choice with Robin because from what I've heard about her, she's like super physical. And
Yeah.
so like she works out all the time, stuff like that. I don't understand why she got off first.
No idea. And then after that, the second checkpoint, Dorinda and Dolores both get off, and Bob the Drag Queen right away says, and rightfully so, that we can't just force every single lady to get off on the first number of platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and then we have a very interesting moment when, after exactly what Bob says, they step off along with Danielle, leaving two traitors on a platform.
And neither of them know the other one is.
Yep.
I did note that down. It was interesting.
because no one knows.
Talking about Traitors' suspicions, not knowing that they're on the same team is fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Alan even points that out to us in case we didn't know that.
And then as we get to the end, skipping a couple of steps, but the overall group decides of everybody who's left, to head back after getting $20,000 as opposed to the full $40,000, and thus getting a shield, which means that with Bob and Danielle both being traitors, either Ian, Robin, Bob Harper, Sam, Dorinda, or Dolores is going to be murdered on the first night of the show.
Yes.
And then when we go back to the castle, after they've got $20,000, the safe players have their shields.
Also, real quick, the $20,000 of these 3 episodes is definitely the most successful of our 3 missions so far.
Yes.
Well, and it doesn't really matter because all the extra money they didn't get is going to get pooled in for the final mission when they succeed on that one.
True.
True, but right now they're like putting money in the pot, and the other 2 missions are pretty pitiful in that regard.
Yeah. I do want to mention before you go any further that the other Bob also was very much against all the girls being thrown off the boat too.
That's true.
Because he was saying if it's just going to be a boys club, that's not a club I want to be a part of and stuff like that. And so yeah.
Then at that point, all the players go back to the castle, and what's everyone's reactions to seeing the traitors reveal themselves to each other now that we have Carolyn, Bob the Drag Queen, and Danielle Reyes?
It's interesting. I don't know how well they're going to work together as a team.
Yeah.
At this point.
So I called Bob the Drag Queen being a traitor, but I don't know how well I like Bob the Drag Queen being a traitor since I've seen him in the turret.
I definitely don't think I do so far.
Yeah.
He's definitely a my way or the highway type thing. And that doesn't work when there's 3 people trying to make a decision who all are just loud people who have their opinions.
Yeah, they certainly picked a group of loud people to start at least, and then put one person with them who likes to be in total control. So
yeah, either the 4th traitor that we're going to get to or Bob the Drag Queen. One of them's going to kill the other one in the Traitors Tower, I'm pretty sure.
And then that's going to be how the show gets canceled because we're going to have real murders now.
No, it doesn't get canceled. We just, instead of labeling it as reality, we label it as a true crime documentary.
A true crime, yeah. And then we can label ourselves as a true crime podcast.
Yeah.
Dateline.
We're expanding Reality Realm into the true crime.
No, I don't. True crime realm. But I don't love Bob. Like, Bob the Drag Queen is funny as a character. I like him on the show. Like you said, I don't like his attitude in the Traitors turret tower, whatever it is.
I agree.
And there's a moment in towards the end of the last episode that he says something I really didn't like that I texted you about that we'll get to.
Yeah. And at the same time, we get Carolyn up here who, once again, feels like she's not being heard. It feels all over again like it's Boys' Day in the Sanctuary with Danny Massa and Brandon Cottom.
I'm sorry, it's not called the Sanctuary. It's called the Sanctuary where good things
happen. My bad.
How are they going to know what happens at the Sanctuary if you don't say the whole name?
They can find out by going, I guess.
That's the Survivor equivalent of, like, on Amazing Race when Phil explains the 12-hour time gap at the.
But he doesn't do that anymore. Yeah. So when's Jeff going to stop?
Oh, he's not. He takes longer to. He's more set in his ways, I think. But also, the Sanctuary hasn't been around.
Right.
That long. So.
Right.
But. No, I just had to make sure you said the Sanctuary's name correctly. It's called the Sanctuary where good things happen. All one sentence, one name.
Yeah. No spaces.
Yes. But no, yeah, I did feel for her. And I feel for her even worse later because we'll get to this more in depth, but there's a point later towards the end of the third episode where the four traitors have to meet up and decide something.
Mm, yeah.
And she's running all over the house looking for them while the three of them somehow found each other. I don't know how the three of them found each other, and it took her forever. But I felt bad for her there because there's like
Yeah.
a solid 3 minutes of TV time of her just wandering around the house.
Yeah, it really fits in the quirky, wacky narrative of who Carolyn is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So before we wrap up episode 1, what's everyone's thoughts on the fact that Dorinda is out of the game?
I think it's an interesting move. It definitely caused chaos. So
Yeah, I'm not upset with it. I think a housewife's kill was a decent move, for sure there, and
I think as we've seen from past seasons too, Housewives players just work together so well.
Right.
Unlike, say, what we see at the end of episode 3 with Survivor players.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do have this note I forgot from the traitors learning each other in the tower though. I put Carolyn is Carolining out. And I don't know how to describe it, but there's this very signature to Carolyn sound she makes a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. You guys know the sound.
I think you should just try to imitate it right now for us.
No.
Do it.
Maybe next week when I've had time to workshop it. But she was like freaking out and
Wait,
like
no, we need a before and after.
No. But I put Carolyn as Carolining out, and then yeah, the episode ends with the three people in the woods with their hoods down meeting with Alan.
Yeah.
No, wait.
No, just Rob.
No, just Rob.
Just Rob, that's right.
And it's Rob reveals himself in the woods and talks to Alan a bit, and then Alan says, tomorrow morning you'll enter my game as a traitor.
And at that point, I said yes, like yelled yes in a way that I only yell at my TV when I'm watching hockey games in that way, with that excitement.
And he sent me a Snapchat of it.
Because you said you wanted my reactions to the big things in the episode. So
yeah. But Alan also tells Rob that he is going into the game with two other people.
Yep.
And did they all see each other before the episode ended, or was that the start of the next?
That's the start of the next. So let's get into episode 2, and we see Alan bring Rob is masked up, and we see Alan bring in two other people who are also under cloak.
In cages.
Yeah, well, before he puts them into cages.
Oh, yeah.
But I've already heard rumors that this person was on. I saw him and Carolyn do a podcast together, so I'm like, okay, they have to know each other from this show. But if I didn't know anything other than the fact that I'm a Challenge fan, I right away am like, I see a familiar beard that does not fit under this cloak.
Yep.
Yes, he pulled the hood off. And
there is Wes Bergmann.
Wes Bergmann, he's making the circuits right now. Just finished his stint on House of Villains. Just started his stint on Worst Cooks in America. And here we are in Traitors.
And we'll get to Derek in a second, and I know I'll let you talk about him as our resident Big Brother expert, Kevin. But I just love this moment when Derek sees Wes for the first time and goes, "Weren't you retired?" And Wes is like, "From the Challenge."
Yeah.
And he says that, but I wouldn't.
He'll be back on the Challenge at some point.
I hope so. But it's funny you said you recognize the beard, because like when I binged through like all of like from the Challenge from 13 till what was current at the time, he didn't used to have that beard.
Yeah.
It was really jarring for me to see that version of him because I had watched him on Double Agents,
Right.
which was airing at the time. Like, oh, this is different.
I should add, when I say I recognize the beard, I follow Wes on social media, so I see it
Oh,
all
yeah.
the time.
No, I get it for sure. Also, Wes, please come back to the challenge sometime. We
Yeah.
missed you.
And I just saw that beard on the whole season of House of Villains, so I also recognize that beard.
And I started that season today, and I watched like three, I think, episodes. Maybe I'm partway through the third episode, I think.
Ah, yeah.
But I
Nice.
watched through the first season in like 2 or 3 days
Mm-hmm.
because when I binge things, I binge them hard.
Yeah.
But so tell us about what's his name? Derek.
Derek Levasseur, widely known and renowned throughout the Big Brother universe as one of, I know you heard it last season with Dan, as one of the best players to ever play the game of Big Brother. He's the winner of season 16.
Mm.
He beat out in the jury vote somebody who I think you're both familiar with, at least by name, in Cody, California. Cody Calafiore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Season 1 trader.
yes, season 1 trader. And yeah, he's just a heavy strategic mind that, like I said, is always known as one of the best to ever play the game.
Nice.
Nice.
And I found this interesting when I pulled up his background that Derek is a Rhode Island police officer and therefore is on the same season with Tony.
Wow. Nice.
East Coast.
Yeah. So.
All
Yeah.
right. So then we cut back to the castle before the daily mission and have its breakfast. And the players are entering the game, except for the 3 that are in cages dangling above what looks like the Forbidden Forest in Harry Potter.
But the 3 guys, we forgot to say, they did kind of agree to work together once they get to the house.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because they all know that they're going to be big targets because they're some of the biggest names in their franchises.
Exactly.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we're back in the house, we see the players react to the first murder of the game.
Yes, they are all very shocked and very confused. And if you're a traitor, that's exactly what you want.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And this is where I realized, and I think I wrote it down later in the episode, but I wrote it down here. It actually is benefiting Brittany to have someone on the Traitors team that she has a bad history with.
Yeah.
Danielle knows
Absolutely.
if Brittany gets killed, everyone's going to look at her. So in a
That
weird
is
way, having
very
a
good
traitor,
for
you have
Brittany.
Which I'm about to the point where I think the way that things are going, that could genuinely work in Danielle's favor to kill Brittany at this soon, probably, because we've had a couple murders here, and both of them were supposed frame jobs. And you can only do so much of that before people stop looking at the obvious suspect.
And here's the thing too is you've got Jeremy who, and we'll get into this. I'm scared for him. Jeremy who's kind of on to Danielle already. She could kill Brittany and be like, "See, Jeremy's framing me. It's him."
Yeah.
But so far, I just didn't see this coming. Like, it's benefiting Brittany 100% having a traitor that you have a bad history with, and she doesn't even know it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we see here Dorinda gets murdered, and that was beautiful, Bruce. And that's interesting considering that the night before she had just gotten into an argument with our friend Lord Ivar Mountbatten.
Yep.
And so things might get a little hairy towards in the direction of Lord Ivar.
I really like this conversation too on the note of in this episode of Jeremy going over to Lord Ivar and going like, "What show are you on? Where do we know you from?" And he's not on any show before. He's a member of the royal family.
Actually, actually, he has been on a reality show before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like a British reality show that it was like 2019, and
Oh, wow.
it was this show called The Island, uh,
Mm.
but for its final season was rebranded as Treasure Island. And this dude evidently is kind of cutthroat because um, like they're all surviving on an island or whatever, and there's like random like money drops out of a helicopter into the woods, and him and another guy stumbled upon like 30 grand worth of British currency in the woods, and instead of like telling anybody or like sharing it with the group, they just buried it so that they could get it later.
Bruce, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
What?
This show where they're just dropping money into the woods for players to go get? Nayanka Mixon needs to be on that.
I don't think Nayanka Mixon needs to be on any TV show. But
So
you,
no, Bruce was not thinking the same thing you were.
but you mentioning her name puts another thought in my head again because I've been binging House of Villains at an alarming rate recently. I often, when I mention Nayanka Mixon, mention another Survivor player named Colton. And watching Colton in the House of Villains with some of these people on there,
Oh,
I just
God.
I just want to see how that would go because
I
I just
don't.
think it'd be good for him, and I just want to watch him melt down again. I think.
I don't want to
Like,
watch him do anything.
okay, but like him getting on the bad side of some of these people in the House of Villains, you don't want to watch him get absolutely destroyed by them.
True.
I don't. I don't want to. I mean, yes, I would love to see that, but I don't want to see the things that would have to occur for that to happen.
But
Yeah.
like he's so soft. Someone would say one word to him, and he'd start crying, and like I just see him getting absolutely destroyed with words there.
Well, I think that Colton would get himself like kicked off the show for being a racist before he would get the opportunity to get.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair enough. He fits the bill for the show, though, for the most part, as far as on TV.
Either way, back to the Traitors.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So after we have breakfast, we see that Dorinda's gone, and then we get into another mission where the players Alan kind of leaves a hint that there's going to be more people in the game. At this point, they had to know that one of them was Rob Mariano.
You'd think.
Yeah, well, I'm not one of them, so they're probably more observant and quicker thinking. So they probably did.
So
I didn't figure it out till the end of the first episode, but they probably did.
So
we know.
The competitors get to their daily mission, and they see the new 3 players up in the trees. They explain what they have to do with how to put coins in, that each player is going to get 1 shield to give away. Ian's comments here I thought was hilarious, especially with like the Middle East is just so far removed from MTV. And she's asking Wes what he does, and he's like, I'm on a show called The Challenge, and it's like, what challenge?
I do love I'm gonna call them the birdcage people's reactions to seeing the rest of the cast. Because you've got Derek, who's super happy to see Danielle, but like unsure about Brittany. You've got Wes, who just says, "Hi everyone, my friends call me Faithful Wes." I'm Fergus's cousin, and just right off the bat is almost maximum West. You don't get the quite the arrogance quite yet until he starts explaining what challenge fans think of him. But my friends call me Faithful West might have been my favorite line from this whole challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved the reveal. I love that these 3 are coming into the game, and I gotta say, if I'm always one rooting for the Traitors, but if I tweeted this, blue skied this. If it's got to be a faithful win, I want to see my boy Wes pull it out.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Him and Jeremy make me want to root for the Faithfuls more than I ever have.
Though, I mean,
And
if
that's
Wes
what
pulls
busted
it out
Robin
after, if Wes pulls it out after CT and Trishelle pulled it out as Faithfuls, and then both my shows are in a lot of trouble in season 4.
That's when we bring Johnny Bananas back in the Kate role next season and say challengers are good at this now. Go do it and see what happens.
This I think they'll wait until we do the Traitors All Stars and bring Johnny Bananas back.
Yeah.
Because obviously you don't have to make it overly far to be considered an all-star.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't go out as early, but I mean, we're still talking about Rob Mariano. He didn't even make the jury in his first season of Survivor. He made it on
exactly.
All-Stars. So Johnny Bananas can be an all-star as a
sure.
first murder.
And he seems like the type that pretty much says yes to any TV show. So I'm sure he'll be back at some point.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, for all we know, he might even be back in a few weeks.
Yeah. Have him do the Dr. Will role and just run one challenge.
Or the Kate role.
Yeah. I don't know. They've got so many people already. I don't know if they're going to do the Kate thing this season. There's already barely room at the round table for the people we have.
Johnny Bananas does have a really fun podcast, though.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. I remember when it started, but
I just find that podcast funny because the first ever episode I listened to fast forward to everything that happened in 40, and the first episode of that I listened to, somebody brought up the name Michelle, and Johnny's like, that's that girl from Survivor, right? He didn't even know who she was at the time.
Did you listen to his Michelle episode from this season?
Yeah.
I will once I watch the season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So moving on to our first round table.
We talked about what the challenge in the woods was, because they did do a challenge also.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Well, I for some reason wasn't taking notes. I was too engrossed in it, but they each had their own little buckets people were putting money in, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like low coins.
That were lowering the cages.
Exactly. And that determined
how much shields, right?
Money the shields, the 3 players could just give away to whoever they wanted. The money that they put in was money that they were banking towards the prize pot.
Gotcha. For some reason, I was thinking that the player had to get to the ground to get a shield.
I think the money was tied to the shield somehow. I don't know if it was that or like they had to bring in a certain amount.
I just know that Rob said that he gave Tony his shields. So
yep, all 3 of them shields.
And we'll get to it, but Tony then never talks to Rob again after that, apparently.
Yeah.
Because Tony. But yeah, we get to the first round table, and Rob, Derek, and Wes, the birdcage people, I'm going to keep calling their alliance that. They don't have to vote. They can just.
They're just learning the game.
They can just sit there and watch the chaos unfold, and boy, it's a chaotic roundtable.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it is, once we get votes in, a 3-way tie.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Puya couldn't get over this because he is a Traitors expert. When I was listening to our Hat podcast about it, the fact that the first banishment was only 5 votes to banish is ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah. Also, I forgot about this quote I wrote down as a cast reaction, and I didn't write down who said it, but someone in a confessional said, Derek seems like someone I want to play the game with, and then get a disgusted face at the
I heard that too, but I don't remember who said it.
Well, I mean, I should add, I said it was a 3-way tie. Obviously, someone was banished, which would being Wells. It wasn't a 3-way tie. It was a 3-way tie with 1 vote left.
Correct.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
And
Which
Wells
makes
gets
me
sent
sad
home.
because Wells was one of my traitor picks. The only one I got wrong out of that original 3. But we did not get enough Wells, that's for sure.
I said Rob as a traitor as one of my predictions. Did I get that right or wrong?
Yes and no.
Because he wasn't one of the original choices, but Alan still chose him eventually.
You got it.
So I got it half right is how I'm going to brand it.
We'll give you half a point.
Yes. But, yeah, Wells gets sent home.
Yeah.
Roundtable is always chaotic, but this was quite the roundtable here.
Oh, any time where you got 3 people getting 4 votes.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Well, it was Lord Ivar, Robin, and Wells, I think.
That's right.
Lord Ivar is getting a ton of heat already.
Well, that was the traitors' intention with killing Dorinda, as they had been in an argument. They also had the intention of kind of pinning it on Robin as a house, because they wanted to control this narrative of a housewife being in the turret. And then Wells, I don't know. That was
Well, I mean,
stupid.
I forgot. But I forget what I was going to say. We can move on.
And then just before we get into the second murder and the reveal of Boston Rob, we get a really good moment here with Dylan Efron, Zach's brother, who's at this point already calling out 2 of the 3 traitors in private discussions on episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2? I know he said Bob the drag queen. Did he
and
say
Danielle?
Oh, I missed that part. Yeah, him and Bob
so
the drag queen.
It's hard to say how do you play this now, because if they get a whiff of that, he's gonna get you, but you've also you can't kill him, but you've also got to kill him, or else he's gonna get you.
Well, the way Dylan plays it is to make the second roundtable in the next episode quite spicy.
So my thing is, they have to kill Dylan. Maybe not right away, but soon.
Yeah.
Because
maybe give it a couple days just for him to not be the first one talking.
Yeah.
And he's got to go.
Yeah, because he's never going to be banished.
No, yeah.
He's never, and they can't have this guy who is accurately sussing out traitors and throwing those names out continue to campaign against them. They can't afford
once you hear another big name come up, that's when it's time, because then people will think that person was the target.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see if Lord Ivar can shake this heat off of him. I will say, between a former member of Parliament last season and a royal family member this season.
More than member of Parliament, former Speaker of the House for like 15 years.
Oh, I couldn't remember what he did. Which house was it? Isn't there
the British House of Commons.
Okay, because there's a House of Lords too, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
But between him and we've got Lord Ivar this year, we've got 2 straight seasons with British government related people on here. John was fantastically entertaining. We'll see if Lord Ivar lives up to the shoes he's filling.
This is a shout out.
So far, I don't think he is.
This is a shout out to. This is a shout out to my friend Spencer, who will probably call during this episode again, as we've had on 2 Reality Realm shows so far. If we have had 2 British government people and someone who's done a reality show already is a huge name in British politics, if you're listening, NBC, get Nigel Farage on season 4.
Well, why limit ourselves to only British government? I think there's a Canadian government person that's going to have some free time coming up. Thoughts?
Dab on him, Bruce. Dab on him. Dab on him.
It was right there. I had to.
Oh, that was great.
But no, so far, Lord Ivar is not living up to the shoes he's filling.
No, I don't think
John's role. But John was fantastic. So.
Oh, incredible.
We need Lord Ivar to start giving people rhymey, alliteration-y nicknames.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not just in the Traitors. John used to do that kind of stuff in the Commons.
I love him even more now. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm imagining our like Speaker of the House of Representatives saying things like "Mistress of Murder" while doing their job. It makes me smile. I love that he does that. John's fantastic from
Yeah.
the little bit that I know about him.
But we also have something else that happens in the form of the shields being handed out here before this murder too.
Yeah.
And so Rob gave his to Tony,
Yeah.
Wes gave his to Jeremy, and Derek gave his to Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point, I wrote down half of Survivor has a shield and the other half are traitors.
Yeah. I don't think
I wonder if maybe Bob and Danielle could maybe shake some of the heat from Dylan if they killed him by trying to throw it onto Derek.
Maybe. I think they have to wait to kill Dylan now, though, because we'll get into this. But he very much goes after Bob the drag queen.
Yeah.
At the next roundtable. If you kill Dylan, that's gonna.
Oh, you can't do it right away.
No, not right away.
But I just can't get over having Rob and Wes on my screen at the same time. I love both of them separately, so them being on there together is just phantasmic.
Phantasmic.
Yeah. That's the word that came out of my mouth. I'm not sure why.
Well, that's just like about every other word that comes out of your mouth. We're not sure why.
All right, so getting to the end of episode 2, we've already banished Wells. The traitors go up into the turret, and knock, knock, there's a 4th traitor.
Yes.
For those not watching on YouTube, I pulled the hood off my cloak, and that's what Boston Rob does. And the others 3, they find out he's one of them now.
Yes.
And hold on, is this where? Yeah, their reactions to him. Carolyn says, in a confessional, says Boston Rob, no one wants him here. And I wrote down, my reaction was,
she
girl,
just did.
You were literally the only one heavily considering letting him into the game earlier. What do you mean no one wants him here?
Yeah.
You're the only person that can't say that.
I mean, she didn't know that she or him was going to be a traitor when she was going to bring him into the game.
No, but saying no one wants him here when you almost brought him here is just funny.
Right. But I think she means in the turret.
I think she meant just in the game in general.
Well, I don't, because we didn't get that confessional when the when he got revealed in a cage. We got it when he got into the turret.
We did get a reaction from her to seeing Wes, though. Did you guys catch that?
No, I don't know.
She said something. She saw Wes and something along the lines of "I hate that a-hole" or something like that. So, and this is where we start to try to figure out our next kill. We consider taking out Tom to try to frame Kershell. I think I said that right, Kershell.
Yep.
And then Carolyn mentions taking Brittany, and Danielle shuts it down. And this is where I had the note that Brittany is benefiting from having a rival of sorts as a traitor. And then Rob makes a good, and this is where I think Rob is moments like this where he's kind of become this leader because he knows what he's doing. He says, "Do we want to create more chaos or a united front?" And kind of starts to guide the conversation.
Yeah.
And Rob is doing what Rob does best.
Yeah.
But we also have Bob the drag queen here trying to act like he owns the place and telling us who we are murdering.
Yeah. Which is, one of the other, and I mentioned this one at the end of episode 3. This is another one that he's going to annoy me as a traitor, but I love him as a character on this show in general.
to be fair, if there's one person, it's going to be him. He's not long for this game.
Yeah. Who, Bob
Unfortunately.
the drag queen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the first traitor that gets caught.
I think
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, Dylan's already on to him.
Unless people just make the assumption in episode 4 that, like Kevin did, that, or you did, Bruce, one of you, probably both, that if Rob Mariano wants to be a traitor, he's a traitor, and target him out of nowhere.
Yep, that was me.
That was you.
Yeah, that was me.
No, it wasn't.
Revisionist history.
This is not Pit Stop Pals, my friend.
Well, okay.
But yeah, Bob the drag queen thinks that he owns the place. Carolyn is getting not very happy with that. But like you said, Bruce, Carolyn wanted to go for Brittany. Danielle shut it down. I'm thinking like one or maybe somebody, I don't know who next. Then after that, Dylan. Then after that, Brittany. And I think that especially if this is another this third one that they do is going to be another frame job like the first two were.
Yeah.
That killing Brittany could end up being beneficial.
Yeah. So we don't see them decide. They decide who to kill. We don't know who it is yet. We get to breakfast the next morning, and my first note from breakfast is that Wes tells us he's the only one of the Cage Boys that could headline a boy band. And now I want to see the three of them like put out a boy band music video together.
I'm afraid.
I want to see that. It'd probably be terrible, but
it'd probably go about as well as the three of us putting out a music video.
Deal. Only if I can wear my cloak. But
as long as you wear it backwards so we don't have to see your face.
we can get out of it for a second. But we then learn, as people pile into breakfast, and only one person's not there. The real housewife, Princess, however she was described in our cast reaction, from Dubai, Ion, is killed.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Alan Cummings says Chanel Ion from the Real House of Dubai.
That was great.
Dubai. I love it so much.
It was awesome.
That was one of the two funniest things said in this breakfast. The second being right after that, we get this funny moment where Tony introduces himself to Wes and asks him a few things. And Wes says, I got taught not to say things to police officers.
Yeah. Yeah. These first episodes 2 and 3 are chock full of quotes. We've got I'm the only one of the three of us that can headline a boy band. We've got Do Bye Bye. We've got my friends call me Faithful Wes.
I'm Fergus's cousin.
Yeah, we're off to a great. I was told not to talk to cops. We've got so many great things already.
Well, yeah. I mean, Wes is like he just rolls them out, man.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That's why I mean that's what bananas on shows or podcasts together though, because they start riffing off of each other.
Yeah.
And then they start taking shots at each other, and it's hysterical.
But Wes going on Death, Taxes, and Bananas is incredible.
Get them both on Traitors next season or on House of Villains together. I just need content with both of them in the same place.
I'm still pulling for the Amazing Race.
Oh, gosh. So, yes, Ion is a real housewife of Dubai, Bye, Alan says. And then we have after breakfast, Carolyn's kind of having a Carolyn moment. And we get this cool scene of Jeremy consoling her and reaffirming her that he and Survivor has her back, and this is where we hear him say for the first time to watch out for Danielle.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
he is on her case.
What was Carolyn upset about again? Was it just Ian not being there, or
Yeah. It was just acting.
okay?
Also, though, this breakfast scene, Danielle was laying it on way too thick.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a bad actress when it comes to this. Rob points that out too.
It was so bad.
Yep.
And
She's
I
in
did
trouble.
have a note from the first round table. Robin was not great at this either. It's just kind of some of the actressing and knowing when not to say things.
Rob, why was Robin needing to actress?
I maybe that wasn't it. I had some. I'll look up who was bad at actressing, but like Robin would say things at the first round table that I'm like, that makes you sound suspicious. But I have to. But no, Danielle at breakfast is definitely like laying it on way too thick.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I did not have a note from the first round table of anyone being bad at actressing.
So he's lying to us. Okay.
When I just saw the three traitors get introduced, and maybe it's because of what I've heard about them, but also who I'm most familiar with, I am shocked by this point to see that Carolyn looks to be in the best spot of all the traitors.
What is up with that?
She is, dude. She's killing it. She is. If I'm looking at every traitor on the board, I mean, Boston Rob hasn't done anything to hurt his case, but
no, but he's busting up.
him
He
going
carries
into
it in.
him going into that castle makes him a prime threat.
Yeah,
and when
just like
Danielle
Puff was last time.
Yeah, and when Danielle can't act, and Bob the drag queen is way too sus. Carolyn is killing it. I mean, not only are people not saying her name, but they are saying her name as a confirmed faithful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
What a better place could you be in?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if we're doing this or not, but I'll just say it, at least from watching 3 episodes, Carolyn's my kind of like power rankings #1 to win the game.
I would agree.
Yeah, she's doing so well so far.
There's not another person to put there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And which is saying a lot because she's still kind of chaotic throughout all of this. So
especially coming up at the end of the episode.
yeah. Oh my gosh. I felt so bad for her at the end of this episode post roundtable.
Yeah.
But and we also again see Dylan is on to Bob and telling people about that. And Dylan also suspects Robin. So he's kind of he already has a list of people.
Yeah.
He's the Peter of this season.
Yeah.
Which means he won't win.
That's right.
Yeah.
Unless he's like the upgraded version.
I don't think there is a version of Peter upgraded, downgraded, turned sideways that can win this show.
I agree.
He was too aggressive about it. But Peter was good at the game. His reads were good.
Okay, so the best thing you can do is what Sandra did last season and know who a traitor is and ride that till the end without making too much. She got the unfortunate draw of one round table short of getting to the end, but she had the right strategy, because if you go out there and become the most confirmed of faithfuls, you're done for.
I'm gonna disagree. I think the best thing you can do is what CT and Trishelle did and win.
I'm gonna drive to Pava and punch in the face.
I deserve it for that.
You do.
It was funny though. It made me laugh.
Well, anything makes you laugh.
Lots of stuff is funny. Yes, I agree.
Shut up.
What's that?
And I said my friend would call during this episode. He just texted me and said, "Are you still up?"
All right, so we get to the mission, and this is a fun mission. It's kind of creepy, but
Yeah.
it's fun to watch. It's not fun as far as like them adding money to their final prize pot.
If you're scared of clowns, turn your TV off.
Can I just say how much I laughed so hard when, of all people, Carolyn Wigu just goes, "I love clowns."
That not only I love clowns, who doesn't love clowns? Also,
Yeah.
I'm like Carolyn. A lot of
A
people.
lot of people don't love clowns. Yes.
Clowns are funny. I like them, but
I don't mind them. I'm kind of indifferent on clowns.
I like them when they have balloon animals they can make for me,
I like them when they have squeezable heads.
or haunted houses.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know you're like me that like you enjoy walking through a good haunted house. So
Yeah, that's where they have squeezable heads.
yeah. But basically, this mission is there's this fun house, and also Fergus is well no behind yeah. You go into a room and there's four doors and one of them leads to the next room, and the other three have a clown in them that stabs your balloon you're carrying. And if you get your balloon all the way through, it's worth $2,000 each. And they're in pairs. And this is where I kind of started to like start to look at it closer to other Bob. Because I don't know because I just don't know what motivated this. It's none of the teams want to go first because they're not dumb enough to like volunteer to go first. Well, Tony, why don't you want to go first? If you're not a traitor, why don't you want to volunteer to go first, Tony? Like, why are you singling him out? Nobody wants to go first. I don't get the motivation behind this.
Seeing that there's 5 levels, going first is just basically giving up your shot at winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going in the top half is giving up your shot at winning.
Why are we aggressively calling Tony out for not wanting to do that?
So I got enlightened once again by the other Traitors podcast I listened to here. And they kind of made a point that I didn't really pick up on at first. Tony kind of made himself the de facto leader on the missions all the way back in the Viking boat, because once they got to the first place where people get off, he got off the boat to read the thing and then goes, "All right, guys, which one of you guys are hopping off here or whatever?" And so he's kind of just put himself in the front.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably where Bob got Tony specifically from.
You know what? That's kind of fair. At the time, I was very confused by this, though. It felt very aggressive for no reason. But knowing that about the Viking boat, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
I still don't love it, but like it's been said a lot about Tony's Survivor game. He struggles when he doesn't have a Trish or a Sarah to cover his weak spots in the social game.
Right.
Or he just has a dud of a game every other game.
I would not call Game Changers Tony a dud. That man went out in a blaze of fire. There are so many funny moments in his 2 episodes.
I think the fact that you just said in his 2 episodes confirms that it was a dud.
Well, yes, placement-wise, it was a dud, but like...
Yeah, I'm not talking about from a TV content. I'm talking about... Tony did not go on Game Changers to make good TV. That's a side part of it. Tony went on Game Changers to win $1 million.
True.
Right.
And if there's anybody on that cast that was there to win $1 million, it was Tony Vlachos over anything else. And that's what he's doing here.
I do have another...
He's going to... That means he's going to win Australia versus the world. That's what I'm hearing.
I do have another Bob Harper-related note from this challenge. And like we said, there's 4 doors in each room. The first 3 people to go into the first room fail. And they describe the doors. They tell which door to go in. Other Bob and his partner, they go in there super confident. And they still get it wrong.
Yep.
And Wes
How did you do that?
And Wes is like not comprehending. It's driving him nuts.
And like as they're deciding this, I should note because we didn't mention this. The people outside the funhouse can hear them describing the doors through a speaker.
Yeah.
So like you at this point you've heard the descriptions of the three doors that weren't it. Just go in the one that doesn't match those.
Right. But it's probably easier said than done.
Oh, definitely. It just made me laugh. I could not believe that happened.
It only made him laugh because he already has the vendetta against Bob Harper at this point.
I would have made a note of it if Boston Rob had done that, it would have made me smile and chuckle because just like how. But I wrote that right there is where I wrote down. Are they gonna add any money to their prize pot from this challenge? LOL.
Nope.
And then the end of it, the answer was no. And I don't remember if we've seen that on this show or not, where we have a mission where they add $0.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But and also one of the Wes and his partner go last. They make it to the very like last stage before the door to get out, and they fail.
Yep.
And they run by Fergus at some point, who's just sitting in there. I don't know what he was doing. He's just kind of chilling.
Yeah, why not?
One of them was filled with bubbles, though. I'm kind of here for. But and this again, I believe this notice from on the car. Yeah, Jeremy mentions Danielle as someone who he thinks is a traitor in the same car that Bob the drag queen is sitting. And I wrote down he's gonna get himself killed or banished.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jeremy, you're right, but quit going at this so hard. You're gonna put a target on yourself.
But if he got killed, then the three other people in that car would all be suspecting each other, and Bob the drag queen has the most heat on him.
True, but he brings it up at roundtable too. I'm scared for Jeremy. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like he's putting himself in danger here.
But you also they're not going to go for an obvious kill anyway.
True.
So yeah. I think he's good for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we also see Jeremy tell Bob the drag queen that Dylan mentioned his name, and he immediately storms out, which I don't know. To me, that I'd be like, huh, why are you like storming out that aggressively about it? That's suspicious. But Brittany tells him that also that he only heard Bob's name from Dylan. And so, yeah, we have some interesting vibes coming into the roundtable.
Yeah.
And then with all this interaction between Bob and Dylan, I just laughed this morning because Bob, the drag queen, tells Dylan that if you were a drag queen, your stage name would be Misguided.
Yeah.
And did anybody check out Dylan Efron's Instagram today?
No.
His bio is Misguided.
That's incredible. Are you trying to fact check?
I just want to see it. It's misguided, but it also has the little like fingernail polish emoji behind it.
That's amazing.
That is awesome. But we get to the roundtable, and Dylan misguided himself, but he's not misguided because he's right on one of these. Immediately mentions Robin and Bob the drag queen, and they both go into a strong defense. And what's really interesting is like Bob the drag queen is like not only strong defense but like aggressive defense and coming at Dylan a lot of this roundtable. But then is like right afterwards, after the roundtable's over, we see a scene of him like, yeah, like let me note it. He was like giving Dylan props a little bit for boldness and actually saying a name at the round table.
Well, I mean,
I'm like, you're smiling and laughing with this dude after just eviscerating him for an entire round table. I love this.
What do you want him to do?
I don't know. I loved it. It was fantastic. I love the just turning on a dime there. I love that like it's not like this grudge he's holding and he's going after him now.
Well, I wouldn't say that that's not true because I mean, I think it's just called kissing ass, and we see it on every single reality TV show that has a social strategy voting component. You
Yeah.
you gotta kiss and make up after a big fight because otherwise you're going to easily be targeted by more and more people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't think this means that either one of them. I mean, I know that it means that it doesn't mean Dylan's giving up on Bob because
No.
he goes straight into a confessional right after that, saying how he believes it's Bob, but he's got to start playing a little more not so upfront because that's going to get him killed.
True. So, and this after that is where we kind of start to see the other Bob and Tony arguing back and forth.
Yes.
And Tony says, "When did you start thinking I was a traitor?" and asks him that like two or three times, and I don't think we ever got a straightforward answer. Because like Bob was trying to talk and Tony kept interrupting to say, "When did you think I was a traitor? When did you start thinking this?"
Yeah.
And Bob just keeps going with his monologue.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know the answer. It's irrelevant now, but I'm curious.
Um. But we got to make point here. Bob Harper was not the only person who was on the Tony train here.
No, and what's interesting is Boston Rob kind of speaks up and originally says, "I don't know if you're a traitor or not, but I gave you a shield and you haven't said a word to me since then." And Tony gets super defensive because he's Tony, and he pushes Rob into thinking, yeah, it basically pushes Rob into voting for him.
Yeah.
Well, because me and Bruce kind of argued about this. I don't know who do you who do you think should claim the most responsibility for the Tony banishment?
Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, out of other people,
Oh.
because that Tony is not what Bruce said that day.
No,
Either.
it's what I realized shortly after I stopped texting you, though. I'm like, oh, he did that to himself.
There's a lot of people that were involved, but I would say it's Boston Rob who swung it at the end.
See, I was saying other Bob started it though, and had
yes, I would
the
agree.
last people to talk before they voted.
But my thing is
going that way.
But my thing is, if it was just Bob Harper who was doing this, I don't think that it would have had the same result.
Yeah.
But Boston Rob was the nail in the coffin.
Exactly.
Well, no, and I never. Yeah, Rob obviously helped, but Bob got the ball rolling, and then like I forget who it was. Someone else was asking Tony questions, and he started getting all defensive and worked up about it because he did.
Dylan Efron got the ball rolling on Bob the Drag Queen, and Bob the Drag Queen's still there. So
yeah.
it doesn't necessarily matter who got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
But I also attribute it to Bob part, and Rob played a part. I'm not saying he didn't, but Bob also has the extra like thing at the challenge.
Right.
Like, I just think he went at Tony harder.
And I'm not saying he didn't. I'm saying I think that Bob was that Boston Rob was the difference maker in Tony going home versus staying.
I think so too.
Ultimately, Tony has himself to blame for getting so defensive and for going like a day without saying anything to the guy that gave you a shield, though.
Yeah, that was stupid.
That's true.
Like,
all right. So moving into the last big part of the episode, we have a note given to the traitors that they will not be murdering someone in the turret. Instead, they will have to pick 3 names to go into coffins, and one of them will end up being the one who gets murdered. Now, they can, if they like, put a traitor into one of the coffins, And Bob the Drag Queen has this bright idea without Carolyn even being there of, I think Carolyn should go in the coffin. How stupid can you be?
This is
Yeah,
what I was referencing earlier when I said I had
Yeah.
really didn't like him. Because Rob's like, yeah, she's not going to go for that. And he's like, well, if the three of us all say it, we have the numbers. She can't go against that.
You don't need the numbers. You're working as a team of 4 against the rest of this castle.
You can't strong arm and force your teammate into doing something, especially like putting themselves on a hit list. This makes me not like. This is what made me not like him as a traitor. And I hope he's the first traitor to go home.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. This whole thing is crazy, though. The fact they have to sneak into this wine cellar to do this, that whole thing is nuts.
I think it's 3 of them know where to go, and it took Carolyn a year to find it.
I'm going to just bump in here and say, I don't think this is as crazy as it looked. I don't, as much as they tried to say they were sneaking in, I don't buy it from Peacock or from NBC 1 minute that they would let the other players get that close to potentially just blowing the entire show in 1 episode.
Right.
So to me, this was just editing. There was no way that like Gabby was right outside having a glass of wine listening to them. Well, the 4 of them were all in the room talking about who was going to get murdered.
I think you're right.
What about the Carolyn thing, though? Was that real?
That could have been real, but
because I'm confused how 3. Like, I think it is because, like, if it was staged, we wouldn't have confessionals of her saying it. But like, how did 3 of them know where to go? And it took her a year to figure out where they were.
So, I mean, I think it was real, but I also think it was edited in that they just added shots of her walking around the castle.
I also don't think that it was that she didn't know where the wine cellar was. It was she didn't know they were in the wine cellar.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I just felt bad for her looking for all the others while they were plotting.
Yeah.
One of her teammates wanted to throw her under the bus, and she wasn't there to defend.
But Boston Rob was there to defend for her, so.
Again, Boston Bob and Drag Queen Bob are gonna butt heads at some point in a big way, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know who tends to win those scenarios between the two. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, sir.
Is that it? Did we do everything?
So that was all for the actual show.
Yeah, we didn't really get who actually is going in the coffin. I assume that's where episode 4 will probably start.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think Ekin-Su is going in the coffin.
Lordy, not Ekin-Su.
I think they will come back, and once they have the 3 names, it's going to be probably putting the final nail into one of them.
Yeah.
So who do we think the 3 names are going to be?
I'm thinking real quick, when they first wrote the note, "You're not killing in the turret tonight," I thought of the Parvati killing last season where she had to get someone to drink out of a cup and they died without knowing. And I thought they were going to do that again.
Yeah.
As for who's on this list, I have no idea.
What do you think, Brett?
I'm thinking about it. Let me guess. You have a guess.
So I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take a stab though, and I'm going with Lord Ivar, Robin, and Dolores. I think it's gonna be. Okay. I think it's gonna be the person they want to kill, and then 2 other people that aren't even like really options. And I think that Lord Ivar might. No, I don't. I don't think Lord Ivar is gonna die. Shoot.
Robin's been getting heat on her though.
Yeah. So is Lord Ivar. So I think it's going to be Lord Ivar, Robin, and Sam Asghari. I think Sam's going to die.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with, I agree on the Robin pick. I'm gonna say one of them is gonna be Tom.
Okay.
And hey, I'm just gonna go for the 10,000 to 1 vote at this point with my third one, because who knows? We're all just guessing. What if they have the numbers and Rob, Danielle, and Carolyn force Bob the Drag Queen to sit in the box?
That'd be funny.
I would laugh at him so much there. But I'm going to go with Robin, Ivar, because I think those are you 2 of the 3 you put up people that have heat on them for sure. And then I'm just gonna throw a random name out there and hope I'm wrong and say it's Gabby that likes to eat food and likes to talk crap.
And who do we think will be the next banished?
Fergie.
Who?
Fergie from last season. He's gonna come in to get banished.
I think.
What did Phaedra call him? Her Burgalicious or something?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. I think this is where Bob the Drag Queen goes.
Yeah, I think so too.
Hopefully.
I guess we'll have to find out, wait and see. But that's kind of where I'm leaning going into the next episode.
This was a very fun
we will be back in 1 week's time to cover that episode, whatever happens. It will be a lot shorter than this one.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the longest Reality Realm episode ever, I think, right now.
Yeah. I mean, we're covering 3 episodes at once. That's longer than a Survivor finale.
Yeah, well, when we did our Survivor finale with Steven, we still almost went 2 hours. So,
Brett, I do want to say that I kind of could see Scandival being one of the coffin people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And with that being said, check out Tribal Council chat, Pit Stop Pals, New Generation Challenger.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to call it Next Generation in my head for some reason.
Me too.
Fair enough.
But
no, New Generation Challenge podcast. When TT's back from vacation, we're going to cover the final, and then we'll talk the reunion. We'll talk All Stars 5.
Check out Pit Stop Pals. We've got January Madness. We've done Kevin's players he likes from our 2 rewatches. We've done mine that will be releasing on Tuesday after this drops on a Sunday, hopefully, maybe on a Monday, depending when I get uploaded.
I just mentioned All Stars 5 because a player that you wouldn't expect me to like because I can't stand her allies is making a return. But can I just throw this out on the Traitors podcast? We got to see Ashley Mitchell in this castle sometime.
Yeah.
Because that would be complete chaos.
You texted me one of her allies that you can't stand as a name for House of Villains last night. That person would also would light the Traitors castle on fire, I'm pretty sure.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see really anything from her other than House of Villains.
I don't either, but and she wouldn't last long on Traitors, but
no,
it would be one of those Blaze of Glory types of things. It would be good TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still shocked you told me you want to see her on any show, though.
Just because it's House of Villains, it's for the craziest people.
Peek behind the curtain. It's Amanda Garcia we're talking about. Also, speaking of House of Villains, put Bobby from season 1 in the Traitors tower.
Yes.
Bobby Lights in the Traitors. Wild.
That man would not be able to keep the fact that he's a traitor quiet, though. He doesn't keep anything quiet to himself.
I would also not be opposed to seeing New York in the Traitors turret.
Yep.
Yeah. But with that being said,
wait. Buy our merch.
Yes.
Go.
Shut up. Yeah, Brett, we realized that we haven't been plugging our merch. So
we will start doing that.
Buy our merch.
Go back to your rooms, get a good night's sleep, and don't get murdered.